ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930 present The Drive.
It is Wednesday, June 3rd. Your drive begins now on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. I'm your host, Paul Swann. Thanks for being a part of today's show. We're going to get things started with our text line brought to you by Clark's Pump and Shop. We open that up now, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Coming up in about 10 minutes, give or take. We're going to have Ryan Crisp, Associate Athletic Director for Revenue Generation. Good catch up with him again. A lot happening today at Marshall University. Of course, the athletic department of the school getting set for the state baseball tournament. That's going to be on Saturday. And we're going to have all those games right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Also, there's going to be a football game coming up later this year, not involving the Herd. So Marshall University, the athletic department, and the Herd Hospitality Department are announcing a 2-year agreement between Huntington High and Spring Valley. Going to play the annual football game at Jones C. Edwards Stadium. And so Spring Valley is going to be the home team for the 2026 game. That is set for September 11th. The 2027 game have the Highlanders as the home team. That's going to be played on a date to be determined the following year. So I'm interested to see how this plays out. Of course, this will not be the first time that Marshall has hosted a high school football event at the football stadium. What does this mean for Marshall athletics? How will this open up the venue to other events like this? I mean, could we see more high school football games being played possibly on a Friday night at Jones C. Edwards Stadium? You know, are you going to try to keep this as something that's really special? And if you're a Spring Valley or Huntington fan, you know that Spring Valley Huntington, always a great game. Two fan bases love getting after each other. It's a great rivalry. It's a fun rivalry, actually. And so this one makes a lot of sense because you know people who, if you're a Huntington High School grad, you know, you're working with someone who's a Spring Valley grad. And, of course, you might know someone a little older that's a Pony Express grad. I don't know that person. Maybe you know a person like that. So you know somebody. You always do. So it's fun on Friday nights for the two fan bases to get together and get after each other. So on the big stage in front of the big lights, the big scoreboard, everything. And Ryan Crisp is going to tell us about that and what that means for future opportunities. He'll tell us more about the state baseball tournament as well as your chance to get season tickets. That's coming up. So that's what we've got on deck for Ryan and anything else that we can come up with. That's coming up in the next few minutes. But until then, I do want to get that text line open. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. That is brought to you by Clark's Pump and Shop. You can head over to herdzone.com later today as well. If you want to get the women's soccer schedule, it's out. Starts on August 9th, exhibition match against Delaware. They're going to be home contest August 13th versus Morehead State, August 16th versus Ohio, August 23rd versus Wright State, September 3rd versus Murray State, September 10th versus Glenville State, September 19th versus Louisiana Tech, September 27th versus JMU, October 4th versus Georgia Southern, October 11th versus ULM, and then October 25th versus App State. That's the home schedule. You want the details, head on over to herdzone.com for the complete schedule, home and away. And, of course, with the schedules coming out, we're getting closer to the start of all the seasons, all the fall season. Can you believe it's June 3rd? We're already talking about this stuff. It's June 3rd. I mean, summer. We got to roll into summer first and get that going. Let's go to the text line while we got a couple of minutes. Let's get that started now. First up, texter says, Paul, I will say congrats to WVU playing great baseball, but they haven't won anything yet. Coastal Carolina from that Sun Belt Conference won the World Series. Miracles happen. Beat that WVU. All right. Appreciate that. Haven't won anything yet. They're in, though. They're going. That's the thing. They're in. They're going. That's where you want to see Marshall eventually get to. You want to see Marshall become one of those power programs in the Sun Belt Conference because the Sun Belt's good in baseball. That's the one thing that you look at this league, and there are some sports where you don't have to be a power league to be really good at, and it's working out so far. Soccer is one of those sports. I don't know if that'll change in the future, but right now the Sun Belt is a perennial power, and the sport can consistent contender. Softball's been pretty good. Baseball's been pretty good so far. You got to get basketball and football up. That's probably the big criticism for me, is football's got to be better. And, yeah, you talk about the Sun Belt East Division being the best division in the the non-autonomy leagues, the G6, whatever you want to call that. But you got to get that up a little bit, because right now that's where it's all coming. Yeah, everybody thinks football, everybody thinks basketball. But baseball is rolling right now for the Mountaineers. And it all started with improved facilities, and I'm hoping that eventually happens for Marshall as well. And the benefit for Marshall is you play in a tough league. You play in the Sun Belt. It's a good league. It's competitive. You have teams that will make runs. You have teams that will contend for the championship, and you're in the middle of that. And it's very hard to get your program rolling, but if you can get it to a point where you're competitive, the schedule's not going to be a detriment to you. You're trying to attract talent. Facilities are there. What's it going to take now? What's the missing link between good and contending? And hopefully Marshall can get to that point. And to be honest, I think there's a lot of growth potential for baseball, because you look at things that are happening, and Ryan Crisp is going to talk to us in a minute about this, but you look at things that are happening right now. You've got the WVSSAC State Baseball Tournament coming to Huntington, and for a lot of these student athletes that are coming in, this is probably their first opportunity to play at a ballpark like this, and this is also, for many of them, their first opportunity to maybe come to Huntington, play at Marshall, be at Marshall. I mean, this is, if it's done right, I'm not saying this is going to open up the floodgates for an influx of students, but get the ball rolling with this. And Ryan Crisp will talk to us in a couple of minutes about that. So I'm looking forward to that conversation, as I always do when we talk to Ryan. So we'll get more of your texts coming up. And again, hey, the good news is WVU beat Kentucky. And so I had to wipe the tears off of Bill Cornwell's face a couple of days ago. So I got the chance to do that. That was absolutely, it had to be done. It absolutely had to be done. Speaking of Bill, I don't know. I don't think Bill listened yesterday. Bill's the president of the Huntington Alumni Chapter. And Bill's like, hey, did they say nice things about me? Of course they did, Bill. You should go back and listen. If you didn't hear that episode, it's posted now on our podcast page. That is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or just wherever you get your podcast. You can find the show. And we're going to add another podcast to that list later, and it's going to be with Ryan Crisp. He's coming up on today's edition of The Drive, ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
This is The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Follow at Paul Swann on X for Marshall sports updates and more.
We continue with your Wednesday edition of The Drive here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Our text line brought to you by Clark's Pump and Shop. We'll get that started in just a few minutes, but you can go ahead and get those in now. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. I want to welcome to the program now. Always a pleasure to speak with Ryan Crisp. He's had many titles over the years. He is pretty much the busiest man on campus at Marshall University at any given time. He is also the Associate Athletic Director for Revenue Generation. Did I characterize you properly, or do I need to go further?
No, I think that's good. I think, working athletics is a blessing. We're all busy. It's fun, but what we get to do every day is pretty cool. It's a pretty cool deal. So no sweat off our back, and we enjoy what we get to do.
Ryan Crisp, always a pleasure to talk to him. So first things first, big news coming out today from the athletic department, that the athletic department and Herd Hospitality, which is part of the athletic department, right? Is it a standalone entity, or it's still part of the athletic department? Just make sure.
Yeah, no, we are still a part of athletic department. It's just a group of individuals in that area that we have our own brand and identity and our own mission, but we're still within the athletics department and report to the athletics department, all that good stuff. So yes,
okay.
100% in the athletic department.
Okay, so I don't know the exact number, but you're all like the Fab Five or of the athletic department, something like that.
Something like that. Yeah, don't tell Gerald, but something like that.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, he's the coach, right? So he can be the coach of the Fab Five. So the announcement comes out today that there's a 2-year agreement between Huntington High School and Spring Valley High School. Going to play the annual game at Jones C. Edwards Stadium, which I think is great because it means you get to play on the big stage. It's always fun to play, in front of as many people as possible, and that gives this game that opportunity to grow, get as many people as possible into the stadium. Just how did that come about? What was what started that, or how was that initiated?
Yeah, it's conversations that we've had with the local athletic directors. Obviously, a few years ago we hosted Cabell, Midland, and Ironton for back-to-back years, and it's something that we want to continue to do. And so it's obviously it's a win-win-win for everyone. So it's a win for the student athletes that are playing in the game, for a chance for them to be on that stage and to play in the Division I stadium and kind of get that experience of what it feels like to play at a Division I institution. For us, it's a win, obviously, to showcase our facilities. We sell the tickets, we sell the parking. We don't get all the revenue, but we sell those things. So we get the data from the customers to know who's coming to those games, which then gets them into our marketing flow. And then at the end of the day, the financials are good for all three participants, the two schools that are playing and then us. So it's just really, overall, it's a great thing to do. It's a great thing for the community, for those kids. That's part of our mission at Herd Hospitality, right? We are looking for ways to generate revenue in more ways than just selling tickets and asking for donations, right? And so this is one of those ways where we can rent our facilities out. And so if you want to practice in our stadiums, you want to play a game in our stadiums, you want to have a birthday party, a wedding, whatever it may be, we are open to renting our facilities out and having this as an opportunity. And so it's a great deal for everyone. We're excited for this partnership over the next couple of years, obviously expanding from there. I think our baseball stadium, it pretty much has somebody in it almost every weekend throughout the summer now. Obviously, this week coming up, we got the WVSIC baseball state tournament there. But then after that, there's multiple club teams playing. There's multiple local teams hosting fundraisers there. And so there's always action. There's always something going on, which is what we want to happen. We want our stadiums to be used. Especially football. There's 6 home football games and a spring game. That's 7 times a year that we're using it for that purpose. So we want to have other teams play in that. We want to have the turf bowl. We want to have the band day. We want to have the local high school games. We want to have concerts. We want to have all that good stuff because at the end of the day, that just helps everyone out. And so we're really excited for this one, and we're excited to see where else this can go.
No, I'm not saying this to grill you, but I am curious. How do you make an event like this affordable where you can rent the space out and everybody makes profit? And how can you work it out so high school is not giving up a home game at their high school stadium where they get to keep the concession, they keep all of that. So, how hard or how difficult, or maybe it was easy, you tell me, to work this out where you can have this game. Even though Spring Valley is going to be the home team and Huntington High will be the home team the following year, it's still virtually a neutral location. How do you make this work with those interested parties so everybody can benefit?
Yeah, I think, there's obviously, there's cost to putting on a game no matter where you are, right? There's security costs, there's costs for referees, there's certain things that you got to pay. The good thing about what we have to offer at the Jones is obviously all the infrastructure, all the big things are already there. And so we're able to flip a switch and we're able to play a game pretty quickly in that regard. We have the spaces for the locker rooms and we have all that stuff. That really for us to host a game doesn't really cost us a whole lot. The other thing is I think, we're able to charge a little more for tickets just because of the venue itself and where it's at. And then from a fan standpoint, from a family member standpoint, from just a local person that lives in Huntington that wants to support Huntington High, there's obviously more attraction to selling or to coming to a game at the Joan and seeing that. And then the other big thing that we have is parking. We have the west lot that's right next to the stadium. And so we're able to charge for that and make a good amount of money there as well. And so there's just multiple ways for us to increase our revenues and add some revenue and just do it on a grander scale than maybe what they're accustomed to at their home field. And I think you know this and our listeners know this, right? Our area is very lucky for the support that not only Marshall receives but our high school teams receive. So to be able to opportunity for them to sell tickets to our events and really open it up and have no limitations generations and showcase their teams on our field is just really a win. So, at the end of the day, does a high school come out better or worse financially from this? I can't answer that obviously for sure, but I know that whether they come out ahead or behind, the experience that their student athletes are getting is something that I think is probably invaluable and that they're willing to trade off, all day long.
Ryan Crisp is with us. He is the Associate Athletic Director for Revenue Generation at Marshall University. So if anyone wanted to do this, they see how successful this is. That's where herd hospitality comes into play. And, of course, I'm just going to assume you've already had conversations with other schools. You envision a time where almost every Friday night during football season there's a different event, a different high school game being played at Joan C. Edwards?
Yeah, I think it would be cool, right? I think if we could expand this, I think if we could get graduations from local high schools to come to our stadium, I think if, there's multiple things that we could do to involve our community in the local high schools. And then, not stop there, right? We've talked about doing a holiday basketball tournament in the Henderson Center with, Marshall playing somebody as the showcase game that night. There's just so many opportunities and options for us to be able to do it. And, even before the state basketball tournament this year, which was in Charleston, obviously, but we had multiple local teams rent our facility out to practice in just because, shooting in a high school gym versus shooting in an arena, your depth perception is much different. And so they valued coming into our arena and having a practice in our arena to get used to that arena feel. And so if we're able to offer them, a couple of non-conference dates early and a holiday tournament where they can get 3 or 4 games in our facility, once again, it's just a win-win for everyone, and it's great for the student athletes and a great use of our facility as well.
Ryan Crisp is with us. He is the Associate Athletic Director for Revenue Generation. I'm going to assume the pyro is included, or is that an add-on? Because you have a lot of that.
That would be an add-on, unfortunately. That's one of those game expenses that might be a little tough to swallow, so maybe no pyro yet.
Okay, fireworks, come on. You have an unlimited budget for that.
We got to save them for the Marshall touchdown.
Okay, hopefully there's a lot of that, and your budget's going to get crunched up this fall. Ryan Crisp is joining us, and so one of the things that we've alluded to is using the facilities more, and this season, as you pointed out, Jack Cook Field is getting used a lot, and this will be the first year for the state baseball tournament. And I believe I get an opportunity to talk to Andrew Brown tomorrow, so I'll throw some of these questions at him as well. But from your standpoint, what has Marshall University had to learn to get ready for an event like this?
Yeah, it was a great little process we went through the bid process to be able to win this thing. Myself, Andrew, and Atkins from Huntington Area CVB, we went in on it and really made it come true. And so really what we learned is that, we have a great opportunity to showcase our venue, to showcase our university, to, now 32 teams that are playing in the tournament. And so we're excited to open up our doors. The first day is this coming Saturday. There'll be 4 games with single A get started on Saturday. They get, once again, a super cool experience. We have indoor batting cages for both teams to use. We have the video board that we're going to be able to utilize. They get a college field to be able to play on. And so a lot of advantages for us to be able to show it off and showcase our brand and what our university has to offer. From a WVSAC, they came in a couple times. They met with us, and they're very confident in what we have to offer. And we do this all the time, right? Maybe not for a high school baseball tournament, but in terms of putting on events, what we do. And so they were very pleased with how easy things have been, and how when they would mention something, we'd be like, "Yep, we already do it. That's there. That's ready." There's nothing that needs to be added, nothing that needs to happen that's extra. And so, we're excited. It's going to be this Saturday. Then they take Sunday off. Then it's Monday through the next Saturday straight, 4 games a day, all the way to the championships. So busy time for Jack Cook Field. A lot of people in and out of our town, in and out of our university, in and out of the local hotels. And so we're excited to make an impact on Huntington and maybe make an impact on a young kid's future and deciding what school they're going to attend.
Ryan Crisp is with us. So what do fans need to know when coming to Jack Cook Field? I'm assuming that it's going to be standard operating procedure. Everything that is in place when you go to a Marshall game will be in place for a high school baseball game, but maybe for someone who hasn't gone through that process just yet, what are some of the things you want to highlight that fans coming to Huntington that maybe listen to this show or maybe coming to the baseball park for the first time because it's high school, what do they need to know? What do you want to highlight?
Yeah, I think from a game operation standpoint, it'll look very, very similar to a Marshall baseball game, right? All fans are going to enter in through the first base gate there by the Farley softball building. That's where all entries is. If you're looking for tickets, you buy those through the WSAC website, so you can get tickets that way. Everything is digital, just like us. And then if you're looking for parking or you're looking to rent a suite for a game, you can do that through Marshall. So we have parking listed on our website for every day. It's $10 per day, and that parking pass is good for all 4 games that day. And then the tickets and the suite rentals are broken down by session. So there's 2 games per session each day, and if you purchase a ticket, you get 2 games, or if you purchase a premium area, you get 2 games well. So lots of options for people. I know as soon as the bracket was set, a lot of our premium spaces for a lot of the days have already been taken by teams, by parents, by supporters of the program. But there's still availability. We're opening up more premium spaces because of how fast the original ones went. And so lots of options for you to be able to host, whether it's the parents from a team or whether it's your own family coming to watch, a youngster play, whatever it may be, there's an option for you. Then, like I said, parking on sale through herdzone.com. Each day is its own individual pass. Each day is $10, but that pass gets you all 4 games that day. And you can come and go as you please in the parking lots with that pass. It'll let you back in. So, pretty much standard operating procedures. I think the only difference, right, is the tickets are through, West Virginia, and then the parking and suite rentals are through Marshall.
I know you're not playing favorites, but you had to be happy to see so many local teams make the tournament.
That was one thing that we said. We were messaging them about it, and obviously the teams that got into that point, the bracket wasn't set yet with the seeding, but the teams that made it that far, we were like, wow, you know what? We for the first year in Huntington, it turned out very well to have all these local teams in our area, and then. Even the teams that are coming from farther away, we've had communication with them about certain things that we needed from them, and they were very excited about coming to Huntington and seeing Jack Cook Field. So all in, a win-win for everyone, and we're excited to open up our doors.
Ryan Crisp is with us. He is the busiest human being at Marshall University. Maybe slightly less busy than Gerald. Just let me cover my bases there. Ryan's the Associate Athletic Director for Revenue Generation. I hear you laughing too. Thank you for that. The season tickets that continues. Yeah, football season is almost here. I can't believe I'm saying that on June 3rd. Football season is almost here. How is that going? And Herd fans still have plenty of time to get those, but don't wait too long is maybe the best advice when talking to you.
Yeah, no, I think so, right? Like you said, it's going to be here before you know it. We're already into June. It's summertime. You blink, and all of a sudden it becomes August 1st, and it gets real. And so lots of season ticket packages. I think the biggest incentive to buying early versus waiting is obviously seat selection. The closer you get to the game, the seat selection is going to be worse. And then also payment options. Right now, if you buy season tickets, you can do it over a payment plan and spread it out over 4 months. As we get closer to the season, unfortunately, just because of the way the financials work, we have to shorten that window that you're able to spread those payments across. So, the earlier the better on football season tickets. There is, all kinds of tickets available. Everything from the family pack starting at $99 all the way up to the Dutch Miller deck starting at $2,500. We're making some great upgrades to the stadium. Obviously, I think most people have heard about the football lights. I think people are going to be amazed when they come to the first night game about how dull our lights were versus how bright these new ones are going to be. And of course, we're going to be able to do some fun things from an experience standpoint with the light shows and all that good stuff. On the west side, we expanded our concourses. So we got rid of the old metal gates that were the entry points up until a couple years ago to really open it up, allow free-flowing movement throughout the concourse to make it less congested, but also to make it easier for you to find your favorite concession vendor. And so that's a great improvement for us. And those are already down, and it's incredible what happened. We went through today, and we're finalizing a signage improvement throughout the entire stadium. So you'll see some different signs throughout the stadium, some banners that people are going to appreciate. showcasing our history, showcasing some of our former greats. And so we're excited to unveil that. And then there's some more surprises down the road here that we'll release in the next couple of weeks, but some great fan experience upgrades that are really going to make a difference. And, we hope that fans, appreciate, you can understand that we are trying to appease to everyone, different markets, different price points, different demographics of people. And so we're making upgrades at all levels and trying to make sure that we can provide the best experience possible. So football tickets on sale, everything you can think of, herdzone.com. Give the ticket office a call. And then also we're on sale for a couple of different other things, right? We have women's basketball early bird season tickets on sale now. And so you can lock in a price before August 1st. If you buy them before August 1st, you lock in last year's price. You wait till after August 1st, it's going to jump by 20%. And so you're able to get tickets a little cheaper than if you wait. And so, take advantage of that. Women's soccer, we just announced their schedule today. And so their tickets are on sale. We moved a reserve seating model for them because of the demand that we've had for women's soccer. We're moving away from the general admission style and going to reserve seating similar to what the men's soccer program has. And so, lots of interest in that, and really probably the most valued season ticket you can buy with us from a price point standpoint and from the quality of play that you'll get. So we're excited about all those. Men's soccer, we're still in the renewal period. Obviously, the demand for men's soccer is super high, and so that we treat their tickets a little differently. And so we won't be on sale for new season tickets until probably early July for that. But we're in the middle of the renewal period, and that's going well. And then be on the lookout for men's basketball coming probably in the next couple of weeks, where you'll be able to lock in your tickets for men's basketball. So lots of things happening, lots of different sports. And I know it's hard to keep track of everything. So if you have any questions, hop on herdzone.com, follow us on social media, give us a call, and we can kind of go through it all.
Ryan Crisp with us. I don't think Revenue Generation does it all for you as far as your title. Your official title, Associate Athletic Director of Revenue Generation. I don't think that covers it all. Still, to this day, we still have to keep changing your title because you keep doing too much. So much, not too much. I don't want Gerald to hear you said too much.
I'm just happy it's shorter than what it was before.
That is fair.
We're making progress.
That is absolutely fair. That is fair. Let me walk you back just a second before I let you go about the concourses, because I did see some of that on social media. Is it just fencing right now? Is there anything else you're working on? Because I know that fencing's a big deal. So is this going to offer expanded eventually concessions? Are you guys working on lights? I know you're freshening up everything, so I'm just kind of curious. Is there anything, or is that still to come? Are you holding that back?
Yeah, no, it's definitely going to be a phased project, right? Something that we can't financially do all in 1 year. I think what fans will notice for the first year, the obviously just the openness of the concourse is going to be great. I mentioned the signages that we're going to update that's going to help improve that area. And then you'll notice an upgrade to our concessions and the lines and the way things are flowing, different offerings within the stadium this year, more food selection, different vendors coming in, different restaurants coming in to be able to sell their products in our stadium. And so some of that still needs to, get to the finish line, and all the contracts need to get finalized. But definitely more to come for this year. And then, every single year, we have some money, set aside to be able to continue to improve those areas, fix anything that we missed from the year before, and kind of just, make it a phased project. But a considerable jump in the first year, and something that we're very, very excited about, and we know it's going to make for an improved fan experience.
Ryan Crisp, always a pleasure to talk to you. Thanks for doing it again. We'll get you back on soon, and hopefully you're going to have a tremendous next week, because I don't know when you're going to get a day off. Sunday, right? Sunday's your day off. Baseball on Saturday, Ryan Crisp day off, and then nonstop for the next month.
That's right. 4 games a day. We're excited to do it.
Thanks for doing it. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, Paul. Go ahead.
That's Ryan Crisp, and you can find out more over at herdzone.com. Our text line, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Brought to you by Clark's Pump and Shop. This is The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
This is The Drive on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Miss an episode? Catch it anytime on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Our text line is now open, 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Open text rest of the way on today's edition of The Drive here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. First up, let's go with the baseball question. Texter says, Paul, a good question. Big Blue Kentucky afraid to play WVU or Marshall on the football field? That's an interesting one there. Here's what I think as far as the Marshall side is concerned. I think it's because Kentucky doesn't have anything really to gain in its mind, in the athletic department's mind. It doesn't have anything to gain because if Marshall beats Kentucky, then that's going to be a nice little recruiting edge, a nice little feather in Marshall's cap. I mean, it's almost like the same why we don't see Marshall play Louisville very often, and that's a shame. I think that game could be played a little bit more. But Marshall, for the next couple of years, really booked up. I mean, you've got Penn State this year, and you've got a couple of winnable games, and you've got a homecoming game against Gardner-Webb. In Middle Tennessee and Missouri State, those are winnable games. They're also games you can lose. Penn State, that's a money game. Alabama's a money game. At Ohio in 2027, that's really you got to play that game. It's a good rivalry matchup for both schools. Boise State coming into Huntington, that's a good game to have. Bowling Green, that makes sense. That's going to be a game you can play, when you have to return it because it's easy to get to. It's easier to get to than other places. Let's just say that. I've been to Bowling Green before. It's a drive. And 2028, you've got Wisconsin. That's a money game. And Ohio, Central Connecticut. You're at Eastern Michigan. And we can go on and on. I mean, Toledo's on the schedule. You really don't have any money games in 29, 30, 31, 32, or 33. Not yet anyway. You're playing Toledo 4 times. 20, 30, 31, 32, and 33. You're playing Toledo. I just don't know where, Kentucky would get on the schedule because of the fact that with that SEC schedule, do you think that Kentucky is going to want to – well, one, Kentucky's not going to go on the road to play Marshall. Just forget that altogether. I don't see it happen. I mean, because, look, this is Kentucky's schedule. Youngstown State in 2026, South Alabama, Louisville. I'm looking at non-conference. 2027, Toledo. Boy, they get around, don't they? Murray State, kind of got to play that one. Ball State makes sense from a travel point. But again, all of these are home games. They're at Louisville. 2028 at Toledo. So they will travel. I don't know how that one's happening. But they've got Kent State, Eastern Illinois, Louisville, 2029, Georgia Southern, Eastern Kentucky, at Louisville, Kent State in 2030. That's to be announced when the date's going to be. So you really don't know if there's a spot for Marshall in the future. But going to Toledo, I mean, they will travel. I just don't see them traveling to. I don't see them traveling to Huntington though. It's not that far. Sure, there are a lot of Kentucky fans in this area. Yes, there's a lot of Kentucky fans in this building. Yes, you know one of them. We talk about him a lot, but I just don't know if they see it as a value. I'd have to really talk to their fans and go, hey, what do you think about just a trip down I-64 or up I-64 to see Kentucky play Marshall? I mean, I don't think that would happen, but I can see Marshall going to Kentucky if the payout's right. Now, same thing for West Virginia. I don't know if there's an opening there anytime soon. I mean, I think that game would probably make a little bit more sense, especially since baseball, the rivalry's got to be heating up a little bit between the two schools. We've seen it be pretty intense in basketball from time to time. But West Virginia's got powerhouses on the schedule like UT Martin, VMI. Ohio's a good game. I'm not going to make fun of that one. Youngstown State, Akron, Robert Morris, Rhode Island. They've also got Virginia. And again, I'm looking at non-conference. Virginia, Southern Miss is on the schedule. They're at Pitt in 29. They're taking on Tennessee and Charlotte in 28. Really don't have any big name games, but they're playing Pitt more. And that game should always be played. That was college football back in the day, and I'm all for that. Pitt, West Virginia, it's a traditional rival, and that's something that you live in a day and age where WVU and Pitt were not playing. Made no sense whatsoever to me. That was a natural rival. And so to have that game back, that's going to be good. So I just don't know where Kentucky would fit. Kentucky would be interesting, though, because you have an SEC school going up against a Big 12 school, and maybe that would work a little bit more. And I could see the home and home here. For Marshall, it'd probably have to be a one-off. Or you can get that sweet Toledo deal. You can make that happen. I'd like to see Marshall play Louisville. I think that would make a little bit more sense because there's just a little bit more there between the two schools. I'd be interested in that one more so than I would be the Wildcats. But who knows? Maybe Marshall and UK can get together on the football field. Also from the text line, I don't want to skip over this one. And this is a big question. Knicks or Spurs? I'm going to predict the Spurs will win in 6 games. I'm going to take the Knicks in 7, just to be safe. Knicks in 7. Mitchell Robinson should be available for Game 1 of the finals. We'll have that game tonight on our sister station. That is Cat Sports 93.3 and 1340. He did participate in practice yesterday after his right hand surgery. He fractured the 5th metacarpal bone in his right hand, so he's available. He should play. I think that'll help. I know the Knicks have been the underdog pretty much the entire time, and I like that. This will be the first opportunity for the Knicks in a long time. Haven't won a championship since 1973, and this is a revenge game. You remember 1999? This is New York's first finals appearance since 1999. This is the team that has been probably the most legitimate challenger to that championship in a long time. And so I like the Knicks in 7. I feel good about them. But then again, I picked Carolina in 7, and look what Vegas did to me last night. Whew, that was a fun game, wasn't it? If you watched it, if not, you missed out. Thanks for the text. We'll get more of those. 304-396-TALK, 304-396-8255. Man, I should have asked Dan D'Antoni. Who would Dan D'Antoni take, Spurs or the Knicks? Man, we could get him. We probably can't get him on the phone real quick, but, man, we should have asked Dan D'Antoni. I would have loved to have heard that answer. More on this edition of Your Drive coming up, ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
At Food Fair, your savings just got smarter. Introducing Cart Cash Rewards, where every trip takes you further. Unlock brand new digital coupons, even exclusive offers you won't find anywhere else. Clip them right in the app or at checkout and watch the savings add up instantly. Ready to start saving more? Just text CART to 87573. Food Fair, conveniently fresh.
Summer starts here. It's Moses Auto Mall of Huntington 9th Street Live every Friday night in Huntington. Presented by Michelob Ultra, White Claw, Big Timber, and Country Boy Brewing. Friday, June 5th, it's the heavy hitters on the Marshall OBGYN stage. The Little Caesars Kids Zone is back, and Go-Mart Happy Hour starts at 5. Enjoy 9th Street libations from the Marshall Hall of Fame Cafe, Sip Downtown Brasserie, and Summit Beer Station, featuring Tito's, Milagro Tequila, Rebel Bourbon, High Noon, and Lucky One. The after-show party takes place at Jerk Riley's at Pullman Square. Mark your calendar for June 19th when 9th Street is dead with Grateful Dead tunes from John Ingram's Dead Center. July 10th, enjoy the music of the Beatles with the Newbies. The Thundering Herd Rally is Friday, August 14th. Sponsored by Wendy's, Huntington Beverage Center, Sods, Apex Tech, The Great Outdoors Marine, Village Caregiving, Thoroughbred Express Wash, the City of Huntington, Marshall University, Blinko Glass Company, Marshall Health Network Arena, and Kendrick Communications.
In honor of all those we've lost to cancer and those still fighting and thriving, like basketball analyst and cancer champion Dick Vitale.
I want to beat cancer. I'm going to beat it. That's no doubt in my mind. I'm going to win this battle.
Defeating cancer will take all of us. Join our team to help fund game-changing research that saves lives. At the V Foundation, V is for victory over cancer. V is for victory over the odds. V is for victory over health disparities, victory over setbacks, victory over the unknown. V is for victory over giving up.
Don't give up. Don't ever give up.
Join the V Foundation team and help save lives.
Cancer can take away all my physical abilities. It cannot touch my mind, it cannot touch my heart, and it cannot touch my soul.
Join our team in the fight against cancer at V.org.
For the safety of students, families, and teachers, schools across our country are closing.
School closures can have significant and lasting consequences, particularly for vulnerable students who may face hunger, homelessness, and even trauma.
That's where our organization, Communities in Schools, can help. For years, we've had caring adults inside schools, helping these students stay in school.
Now, we are taking our work beyond the school walls. Our caring adults are delivering meals, providing household supplies, connecting kids with online classrooms, and using technology to maintain the one-on-one relationships we know can transform the lives of students and their families.
Communities in Schools, going wherever we are needed, doing whatever it takes to empower students to succeed in school and in life.
To see how you can help kids succeed, visit communitiesInschools.org.
Hi, this is Dave Wilson, host of Metro News Talkline, and you're listening to The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
We continue with this Wednesday, June 3rd edition of The Drive here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. Our text line brought to you by Clark's Pump and Shop, 304-396. Talk 304-396-8255. Texter writes in, text of the day, winner here. I wish I had a prize for you. Texter says, Paul, Dan D'Antoni, would definitely pick the Knicks since he was his brother's assistant there when they also had Huntington's own Bill Walker playing for them as well. From 2008 to 2012, Dan D'Antoni, an assistant with the New York Knicks. And then he was an assistant with the Lakers from 2012 to 2014. So Dan would pick New York. Mike, on the other hand, he's been everywhere. He hasn't coached at San Antonio, though. So he played, by the way. He played at San Antonio, but he hasn't coached at San Antonio. So would Mike take San Antonio, or would Mike take New York? I mean, would we Mike and Dan could be our own corgi. You know, the corgi dog that picks all the winners. I'll just take Dan D'Antoni. Maybe Dan could just do shots and see which one goes into which bucket. I would take that any day over the corgi dog, especially since the corgi dog did not pick the New York Knicks, to my understanding. But yeah, that's an interesting one right there. I definitely would say Dan takes the Knicks. Mike, on the other hand, maybe he did play for San Antonio in 1976. But he coached. As a player, do you root for the team you played for? It was one season. It was 1976, but you played for him. Or do you take the team you coach for? And you were there from 2008 to 2012. Then again, he was with the Lakers, and then he was associate head coach with the 76ers and the Rockets, and then the Brooklyn Nets. Never coached San Antonio, but he did play there. You know what? Mike's taking New York too. I'm just going to put words into his mouth and speak for him. I'm taking New York. I'm taking him in 7. We'll find out how it goes. Game 1 coming up tonight on our sister station, Cat Sports, 93.3 and 1340. Of course, we'll have the Stanley Cup there as well. So we've got all of the NBA and NHL action to bring to you. We have got Pirates baseball coming up tonight here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. We go on the air at 7:45. We'll go all the way to the end. It's an 8:10 first pitch, so a little later than you're used to. Pirates taking on the Astros. Pirates got the win yesterday, 10-6, and we'll see if the Pirates can do it again tonight. And again, we'll have that game and the rest of the season right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930. That's going to do it for this edition. I want to thank our guest today, Ryan Crisp, for joining us, the Associate Athletic Director for Revenue Generation at Marshall University. We appreciate his time and getting us caught up on everything that is happening with the university. I'll be back with you tomorrow. We'll do it all over again right here on ESPN 94.1 and AM 930.
WRVC Huntington, W227BS Huntington, your flagship home of the Marshall Thundering Herd and The Drive with Paul Swann, ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.